Welcome to the Scratch Introductory Demonstration, Part 6. In this section, we're going to look at some of the more advanced color layering capabilities of Scratch, also known as scaffolds. What scaffolds allow us to do is isolate a particular area of an image and a color range, and then affect only that area and range. Now I'm sitting here on my base image, and I still have my primary color correction, the levels, color, and numeric values that you saw us using before. But now I'm going to open up my Scaffolds window and create a new scaffold. The scaffold is going to allow me to isolate a particular area on the screen. The first thing to do is to switch to my Canvas menu, and I can start clicking off a new shape using the Shape tool. I'm just going to isolate the area right around this car. I'll close up the shape, and now having completed the scaffold, I can color correct just inside that area. We can also dial up softness values so we get a nice soft edge, and invert so that I'm affecting everything outside of the shape instead of inside the shape. At any point in time, I can edit the shape and animate this, and I can edit the softness separately as well. So if I want a nice big fall off on top here, but on the bottom I can bring it in a little tighter so we don't affect this car quite as much. Let's just bring those values in a little bit closer like so. So we can edit and animate the shape at any point in time, and we've got color correction capability inside this scaffold. Now what I want to do further is use the qualifier tool to isolate a color within this shape. The qualifier allows me to isolate portions of the image based on either RGB or HSV color or luminance ranges such as highlights, midtones, or shadows. And these can be fully customized and adjusted. I'm going to select an HSV key and then use the color picker here to isolate one particular area of the car. And that particular key is being shown to me with this yellow colored matte, which I can switch on and off to see what portion of the image is being affected. If I leave that turned on, I can go in and manually start adjusting this key a little bit further. If I want to isolate just a little more of the luminance ranges here, we can do that and pull a little bit of the dark areas out. So we get just a little bit better pull on that key. There we go. So that gives us just about what we want right there. Now, having isolated that area down, I can control just the luminance of the car. So if I wanted to make that car a little bit darker, I could do that. I have all of the primary color controls that I had on my full image available to me inside this scaffold, so I could actually swing the hue of that car around a little bit. The other part of this scaffold is being able to track that scaffold onto a moving object. In this case, our shot is moving, doing a little bit of a dolly in move, and we want to be able to take that shape and track it onto the car. To do that, I'll open up my tracker, and I've got the ability to do 1, 2, or 3-point tracking. Since this is a zoom move, I'll just select 2-point tracking, and I'll grab one nice little spot on the front of the car and another one on the back. And you see the little crosshairs that are showing up. That's actually the system pre-tracking for me, looking ahead the next 10 frames of the shot and showing me where that track is going to go so that I can determine whether it's actually going to be a useful track or not. If I play through this now, it's going to go ahead and execute that track, and once it's played through the entire shot, I'll be able to go back and then have that scaffold attached to my tracking information. So we're at the end of the shot here. Let's just stop playback, go back and close the tracker, and now my shape has been applied to that, or my tracking information has been applied to this shape. And you can see the color of the car being modified as we go. So I could play that back in real time as well. So that gives me a preliminary scaffold. I can create as many scaffolds as I'd like and just layer them one on top of the other. So if I want to create a new shape to maybe add a little bit of shadow up in the upper area here, I'll just create a shape for that. Dial in a little darkness, maybe add a little softness onto that, and now I've started to layer these one on top of the other. Let's call this sky. And I can shift the order of these as well. If I pick one up and move it, so that now the car is being modified after my sky correction. So we can create any order, we can switch these on and off at will, and go back and modify them at any point in time as well. If I wanted to add a little bit of warmth into the sky there, I could do that as well. So a very powerful tool for being able to control individual areas within a shot. The one area of the scaffolds that I want to show you finally, I'll create a new scaffold here and a new shape just to create something along the top here again, is the texture tool. The texture tool allows me to apply a completely separate image inside this scaffold. If I go out to my construct here, I can choose any other image and drop it in as the image that will be applied inside this scaffold. I can even apply that directly onto the scaffold so that it will move with it. And I have all the same controls for softness and color grading that I have with any of the other scaffolds. So a very quick way to start making some layered looks out of things and be able to bring some other images in to our color grading. So that covers the basics of scaffolds: canvases, qualifiers, and textures.